If you have big plans for your service business or your freelance business this year, that's amazing. But it's important to also look back at your numbers from last year. So in this video, I'm going to walk through 10 numbers in no particular order that I really think all business owners need to be aware of from their previous year so that they can benchmark and understand really where you might want to improve or where you might really need to improve. For people who don't like looking at the numbers, I promise it's not going to be super painful, but these are some important ones that we need to talk about. You've got your revenue first. So this is important to understand, but you don't need to obsess over it on a month by month basis. I like to look at what was my revenue for the whole quarter, right? So that way you can kind of see if you're seeing big percentage dips quarter by quarter, but you don't necessarily need to panic on a monthly basis. And this is super relevant for a lot of our freelancers or agency owners where that revenue can tend to fluctuate, especially if you don't have monthly recurring clients or a lot of them. Next up is your income. So this, for some people, solopreneurs especially, might be the same as your revenue. If you've got a team, it's going to be different. And so we can't just look at the revenue alone. We need to look at what are you actually bringing home at the end of the quarter or the end of the year? Because if it's nothing, or if it's not a fair market salary, we've kind of got some issues potentially with the financial health of your company. Next up is your profit. And so you want to look at this after you subtract your take-home pay. And what I mean by that is that you want your salary to be included in your regular numbers so that anything you make on top of that is your profit. I also recommend kind of looking around for your industry, what a standard profit margin is. I would say that you definitely want to have at least 10% profit in your business, if not more. If you're a service business, it's probably going to be lower. If you're a coaching business, it could be as high as 50%. You also want to look at the number of sales you made. What I like to do for this is, again, break it down by quarter, right? So that we don't have a massive number for the whole year that we're looking at, but we're really able to look back and compare, okay, Q1 of this year to Q1 of last year. You can get a sense for some patterns in your business when you do this and get a sense for some of the slow seasons and the seasons where you might be knowing that you can anticipate higher sales volume. Next is the average deal size. So this is not just looking at the number of sales you made, but the average dollar value of each sale that you made. This is going to enable you to see year over year if the value of the sales that you're making is actually increasing or not. If the value of the sales that you're making is going down, there could be a problem. Now, if you've launched a low ticket offering, that's fine, right? But you kind of want to look at the context. Why is the value where it's at, and what's the fluctuation looking like year over year? Next up would be the number of sales calls that you took. So obviously this is going to correlate to the number of sales you made, but you want to understand how active are you actually being in taking sales calls, or however it is that you make sales. I know some of you are really adamant about only selling in the DMs. Personally, I'm a big fan of sales calls. I don't think that not taking sales calls is a flex of any kind, but that's for another video. Next number is your sales call close rate. So when you look at the number of calls you took or the number of opportunities you had to make a sale, then you look at the number of sales you actually made. This will give you your close rate. So for instance, if you had 50 calls, 25 of those turned into sales, you've got a 50% close rate. And I also want you to look at client retention and churn. And so I think hopefully we all know that it is much cheaper to keep or re-sign existing clients than it is to go out and get new ones. So it's going to be more costly for your business if you're not retaining clients and if you are having a lot of clients churn. Keep an eye on whether people are not just coming into your world, but also leaving, and how quickly they're leaving, because that can again signify some problems in your business. The final thing I've got for you is your effective hourly rate. So this is not the rate that you advertise on paper. This is really what it's actually costing you to deliver work to your clients in terms of your time. So let's say that you charge $100 for an hour-long strategy session. If it takes you another full hour to prepare for that session and then another hour afterwards to do follow-up with the client, then really you've got to divide that $100 by three. You're making closer to that $33 an hour. It's really not $100. And so I want you to always think about your effective hourly rate, because the work that you put in behind the scenes also needs to be compensated. And so you want to work that into your pricing. Okay, we have talked about your revenue, your income, your profit, and your profit margin, which is simply the percentage of your profit. Number of sales you made, average deal size, number of sales calls you took, sales call close rate, retention and churn rate, are people staying, and your effective hourly rate. What are you actually making at the end of these projects that you're doing? There's a lot more that you can track. I am not an accountant. I definitely encourage you to chat with your bookkeeper or accountant. If you don't have any support in that regard and you need it, you definitely want to get that. It's one of the first investments I made in my business, and it's been worth every penny. Don't overcomplicate things, but know your numbers, and more importantly, understand the story behind them. Know what they mean for your business. You could have $500,000 in revenue, but only $50,000 in income and only a 5% profit margin. Or you could have $250,000 in revenue, 100,000 in income, and a 25% profit margin. So when we see all of this messaging out here about six-figure, seven-figure, eight-figure business owner, revenue is not everything. You need to understand your numbers, understand the health of your business. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more business and marketing strategy tips.